What if I told you that in just 72 hours, your body can start shutting down without a single drop of water? No warning, no mercy. Just a slow, silent breakdown happening inside you right now if you ignore one simple habit. Water isn't just a drink, it's survival. Every second, your body depends on it to think, move, and stay alive. But what happens when you stop drinking it for 3 days? Your energy crashes, your brain slows down, your organs start struggling to keep up. This isn't a distant danger, it's real, and it happens faster than you think. In today's talk, you'll discover exactly how dehydration impacts your body hour by hour, why it's more dangerous than most people realize, and what simple action can protect your health before it's too late. Within the first 24 hours of not drinking water, your body immediately begins to shift into survival mode. You may not notice it at first, but dehydration starts quietly. Your mouth becomes dry, your throat feels sticky, and your sense of thirst increases as your brain signals that fluid levels are dropping. Internally, your blood volume begins to decrease, making it harder for oxygen and nutrients to circulate efficiently. This can cause early signs of fatigue, dizziness, and difficulty concentrating. Your body also reduces urine production to conserve every drop of fluid, which makes your urine darker and more concentrated. As the hours pass, your body temperature regulation starts to weaken, making you feel unusually hot or uncomfortable. Electrolyte levels begin to shift, affecting muscle function and increasing the chances of cramps or weakness. Your heart may start beating slightly faster to compensate for reduced blood flow, putting extra strain on your cardiovascular system. Even your mood can change, leading to irritability, headaches, or lack of focus. By the end of 24 hours, your body is already under noticeable stress, working harder just to maintain basic functions without enough water. As dehydration deepens, the brain is one of the first organs to feel the impact. Even a slight drop in hydration levels can affect how your brain functions because it relies heavily on a steady balance of fluids and electrolytes to send signals efficiently. Without enough water, the brain tissue can temporarily shrink, pulling away slightly from the skull, which may trigger headaches and a heavy, foggy feeling. Your ability to focus begins to weaken, making simple tasks feel harder and slower than usual. Memory recall becomes less sharp, and decision-making can turn impulsive or delayed. You may find yourself rereading the same sentence or struggling to stay mentally present. Neurotransmitter activity starts to become less efficient, affecting mood regulation and increasing feelings of irritability, anxiety, or confusion. Reaction time also slows down, which can impact coordination and awareness. As dehydration continues, blood flow to the brain may decrease, reducing the delivery of oxygen and essential nutrients. This can lead to dizziness or lightheadedness, especially when standing up quickly. The brain's temperature control can also become less stable, contributing to discomfort and mental fatigue. All of these changes happen silently, making it easy to underestimate how quickly dehydration can disrupt cognitive performance and overall mental clarity. As dehydration progresses, the kidneys begin to face serious stress because their primary role depends on adequate water to filter waste and maintain fluid balance. With limited water intake, blood flow to the kidneys decreases, reducing their ability to efficiently remove toxins and regulate electrolytes. The body responds by conserving as much water as possible, which leads to significantly reduced urine output. What little urine is produced becomes highly concentrated, darker in color, and carries a stronger odor, indicating that waste products are accumulating at higher levels. This increased concentration puts extra pressure on the kidney's filtering units, forcing them to work harder under strained conditions. As hours pass without hydration, the balance of essential minerals like sodium and potassium begins to shift, interfering with the kidney's ability to maintain internal stability. This imbalance can disrupt normal cell function and place additional burden on the entire system. The kidneys also play a key role in regulating blood pressure, and without enough fluid, they may signal the body to retain sodium, which can further complicate circulation and increase strain on blood vessels. Prolonged dehydration can lead to the formation of kidney stones, as minerals and salts start to crystallize due to the lack of sufficient fluid to dilute them. These stones can block urinary pathways and cause intense discomfort. If the condition continues, the kidneys may struggle to perform basic filtration, increasing the risk of acute kidney injury. In severe cases, waste products like urea and creatinine begin to build up in the bloodstream, creating a toxic environment that can affect other organs. Reduced filtration also impacts the body's ability to maintain acid-base balance, adding another layer of stress to already compromised systems. The longer dehydration persists, the more the kidneys are pushed toward potential failure under the constant lack of water and rising internal imbalance. As dehydration intensifies, your blood pressure begins to shift in dangerous ways because your body no longer has enough fluid to maintain stable circulation. Blood is made largely of water, and when fluid levels drop, total blood volume decreases. This forces your cardiovascular system to compensate quickly. Your heart starts beating faster in an attempt to push a smaller volume of blood through your body, working harder to deliver oxygen and nutrients to vital organs. This increased heart rate may feel like palpitations or a racing pulse, even when you're at rest. At the same time, lower blood volume can cause a drop in blood pressure, especially when you move or stand up. This can lead to dizziness, lightheadedness, or even fainting because your brain is not receiving a consistent supply of oxygen-rich blood. The body reacts by narrowing blood vessels, a process known as vasoconstriction, to maintain pressure in critical areas like the heart and brain. While this helps temporarily, it also puts extra strain on blood vessels and increases resistance within the circulatory system. Electrolyte imbalances caused by dehydration further disrupt how the heart and blood vessels function. Sodium and potassium levels play a crucial role in maintaining proper heart rhythm and muscle contractions. When these levels become unstable, it can interfere with the electrical signals that control your heartbeat, increasing the risk of irregular rhythms. This creates additional stress on an already overworked heart as dehydration continues. Circulation to less vital areas such as the skin and extremities may decrease as the body prioritizes essential organs. This can make your hands and feet feel cold or cause your skin to appear pale. Reduced blood flow also limits the body's ability to regulate temperature, making you more vulnerable to overheating. The kidneys, which help regulate blood pressure, respond to low fluid levels by activating hormonal systems that attempt to retain water and sodium. This response can sometimes cause temporary increases in blood pressure, creating instability where pressure fluctuates rather than remaining steady. These constant shifts make it harder for the body to maintain balance and increase overall cardiovascular strain. As the imbalance worsens, the risk of shock rises, where blood pressure drops to critically low levels and organs begin to struggle to function properly due to insufficient blood supply. As dehydration becomes severe, extreme fatigue and confusion begin to take over both the body and the mind in a way that affects every basic function of daily life. At this stage, the lack of water is no longer just a physical issue, it becomes a full system slowdown. Energy production inside cells drops significantly because water is essential for nearly every metabolic reaction. Without it, the body cannot efficiently convert nutrients into usable energy, leaving you feeling drained even without doing any physical activity. Simple movements start to feel exhausting, and even standing or walking can require noticeable effort. Muscles begin to weaken because dehydration disrupts the balance of electrolytes like potassium and sodium, which are essential for muscle contraction and nerve communication. This leads to heaviness in the limbs, sluggish movement, and sometimes involuntary cramps. The body also struggles to regulate temperature properly, adding to the feeling of exhaustion as internal systems work harder to maintain stability without enough fluid support. In the brain, the situation becomes even more critical. Reduced blood flow and oxygen delivery begin to affect cognitive clarity, making thoughts slower and less organized. Confusion starts to appear, not in a dramatic way at first, but through small signs like forgetting simple things, losing track of time, or struggling to follow conversations. The brain's ability to process information becomes delayed, almost like everything is happening in slow motion. Attention span shortens drastically, and focusing on even basic tasks becomes difficult. As dehydration deepens further, confusion can become more noticeable and persistent. Decision-making becomes impaired, and judgment may no longer feel reliable. This is because the brain is not receiving enough hydration to maintain optimal neurotransmitter activity, which directly affects reasoning and awareness. In some cases, people may feel disoriented or detached from their surroundings, as if their mind is not fully aligned with reality. Severe fatigue also impacts emotional stability. Irritability increases, frustration builds easily, and motivation drops sharply. The body conserves energy by slowing down non-essential functions, which adds to the feeling of being mentally and physically shut down. Even speaking or forming coherent thoughts may require extra effort as cognitive processing slows further. Circulation issues worsen this state because less oxygen is reaching both muscles and the brain, intensifying weakness and mental fog. The entire system begins prioritizing survival over performance, meaning non-critical functions are reduced to preserve limited resources. This creates a cycle where physical exhaustion feeds mental confusion, and mental confusion makes physical exhaustion feel even heavier, pushing the body closer to complete functional breakdown if hydration is not restored. When dehydration reaches the 72-hour mark without water intake, the body enters a critical survival phase where multiple systems begin to fail at the same time. At this stage, water loss is no longer just affecting comfort or energy, it is directly threatening life. Every organ is under extreme pressure because water is required for nearly every biological function, from circulation and temperature control to waste removal and cellular activity. Without it, the body can no longer maintain internal balance, and the breakdown becomes rapid and severe. The circulatory system is one of the first to collapse under this level of dehydration. Blood becomes thicker due to reduced plasma volume, making it harder for the heart to pump efficiently. This increased viscosity slows circulation and reduces oxygen delivery to vital organs like the brain, heart, and kidneys. As a result, blood pressure can drop dangerously low, leading to shock-like conditions where organs are no longer receiving enough oxygen to function properly. The heart, already strained from earlier stages of dehydration, may begin to struggle with irregular rhythms and reduced output, increasing the risk of cardiovascular collapse. The brain is heavily affected at this point due to both reduced blood flow and severe electrolyte imbalance. Confusion becomes more intense, and disorientation can worsen to the point where recognizing surroundings or responding appropriately becomes difficult. Severe headaches may persist due to shrinking brain tissue and poor hydration. In extreme cases, hallucinations or altered perception can occur because the brain is no longer receiving stable signals. Coordination becomes severely impaired, increasing the risk of falls or inability to perform even simple movements. The kidneys are pushed closer to failure because they can no longer filter toxins effectively. Waste products accumulate rapidly in the bloodstream, creating a toxic internal environment known as uremia. This buildup can affect the nervous system, further contributing to confusion, fatigue, and mental instability. Urine production may become almost non-existent, signaling that the kidneys are struggling to maintain even minimal function. Temperature regulation also begins to break down significantly. The body can no longer produce sweat efficiently, which prevents proper cooling. This leads to overheating, especially in warm environments, adding further stress to already failing organs. Skin may become dry, cool, or patchy due to reduced blood flow to non-essential areas. Muscles throughout the body continue to weaken as electrolyte levels become dangerously unstable. Sodium, potassium, and calcium imbalances interfere with nerve signaling, which can cause severe cramps, spasms, or even loss of muscle control. Breathing may become shallow or irregular as respiratory muscles lose strength and coordination. Energy production at the cellular level drops to critically low levels because metabolic processes depend heavily on water. Cells begin to function inefficiently, and some may start to shut down entirely. This contributes to widespread fatigue that is no longer just tiredness but a state of near-total physical shutdown. The body begins prioritizing only the most essential survival functions, sacrificing everything else in an attempt to stay alive. At this stage, the risk of organ failure becomes extremely high as multiple systems begin to collapse simultaneously. The heart struggles to maintain circulation, the brain loses stability, the kidneys fail to filter toxins, and the entire internal environment becomes toxic and unbalanced. Without immediate rehydration, the body can no longer sustain basic life functions, leading to a critical emergency state where survival depends entirely on urgent medical intervention and fluid restoration.